Hi, welcome back. So in this video, last time we discussed how you could actually make sure that the owner is actually who he is. So he cannot click the button. So like this, you cannot click the button unless you're the owner. So right now I'm admin and I don't own this project, so I can't click it. I hid it from the UI. But that's not enough. You also have to hide it from the backend. So you also have to make sure that I don't just go into Postman and just delete the guy, boom, and then it's gone. Right? So I need to make sure that he also needs to be an owner on the backend side. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go into to the tool, into Atom here, and what I'm going to show you is you can make your own. Right now we're using the auth authentication, we're using the auth has role, and then you can also make your own. So I've made a new file called syllabus.auth.js. It's right down here, and we're going to dive into that in a second, this guy right here. But I'm using that now to actually say, is the owner, is he actually the owner of this? If that's the case, then he can destroy it. So read this as, again, it's the middleware. So it's saying you can delete, I want to delete this. Somebody's saying that. I want to delete it. But before you can go here, you have to go here. So here we're checking if he's actually the owner. If that's the case, then you're allowed to go to the controller and destroy this item. So how did I actually make that? Let's try to go into the auth here. I've used a few things. I've used the auth, this guy right here, and that's required for, that's just a service guy. I've used the syllabus because I need the model, because I need to pull out a syllabus, and then I've used something called compose that can actually make so that we first do this, then we do this, then we do this. So it's kind of like a way for us to step through a scenario. In my case, I'm using compose to first figure out if he's an admin. Then he's checking this, and if that's the case, then we're going in here. I'll show you in the next lesson how you could also do this. So the second use here, I'm actually just adding a function using a callback here saying, I want to figure out if this guy meets the requirements. That's all I want to do. I'm getting the request, the response, and then I'm getting next, so that I can transfer to the next guy. In my case, it'll probably be the next guy, will probably be this one, right? But that can happen a lot of other things behind the scenes we don't know, but that's the goal of it. So when I got this function here, the first step is I'm going to find by ID, just looking at the params ID. So this is just like when I'm deleting it. I'm just using the parameters. You have them available. You have everything available like you would in the delete function in the controller, right? So I'm saying let's just find the syllabus right now, and when we find him, let's start out by seeing if there's actually a syllabus. The second step is, let's see if there's actually a user and he has an ID. Okay. Third step is, if the user's ID equals the owner, the syllabus owner. That's like saying if the ID of the guy who's trying to delete this actually is the same as the ID that's right here in the owner field inside Mongo. If that's the case, then I'll call next. If that's not the case, then I'll send a forbidden back. Now, you can start discussing, why do you want this one in here? Why not say, if the syllabus is not fine, you shouldn't send this forbidden back? Yes, you're right. So change the code. It's your code. You can do whatever you want with it. Because maybe the syllabus, if that's not found, you should instead say, no syllabus found, return that. Or you should just say, next. But I just wanted to make sure that I don't get an exception here if this is undefined. So that was the only reason I did it. But it's really up to you how you do it. So that's all it takes. So now I've made my own new authentication for me to even access this function right here in the controller. So now you're not even allowed to do a delete before we've gone through this. So let's see if it actually works. Let's just hack my system for a second. I'm going to remove the ng show here, because now I want to see the delete button no matter if you're the owner or not, because then I can try and press that button. I'm going to go back to my system here. It's going to refresh. And then now the delete button is here, so I can actually press it. Boink. But when I do, I get a forbidden, because I'm not the owner. And now the backend also knows. So even though the UI fucked up, the backend still knows. And let's try to do this guy just to show you that it's actually working when I delete things that are actually mine. Okay, so that's how you do it. And of course, you can put in anything there, anything you feel would make sense. You can put that as middleware. So let me just also show you, instead of adding two guys here in the compose, I could actually have done something else. I'm going to grab the auth from inside my, I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to grab this from inside my syllabus auth, and I'm going to move it into the index one. You're actually allowed to do, like, just add an array and say, first I want to check if he's an admin, and then I want to check if he's an owner. And I think that's worth mentioning. So you can actually do a comma separated array like this, and then it'll actually do the test of each of your methods. Again, it's up to you how you want it to look. I just want to make sure that it still works. After I made that change, the delete is back. Remember, every time you make a change to the backend, you'll actually recreate all your data. That's why it's all back. I can delete that one. I'm still not allowed to delete this one. So everything is still working, and that was just another way of doing exactly the same thing. But here in the second round, I actually went in and made an array instead of different middlewares to call. See you in the next lesson.